Malcolm X. Malcolm X was an important African American leader. He spoke out against racism. Racism is the belief that one race is better than another race. Malcolm's message made African Americans feel proud. Malcolm X's birth name was Malcolm Little. He changed his name when he was an adult. Malcolm joined the Nation of Islam. This is a religion for African Americans. A religion is a set of beliefs people follow. The Nation of Islam is a form of the Islam of Prophet Muhammad. A prophet is a person who speaks for God. Malcolm became the Nation of Islam's most famous leader. Malcolm X had strong opinions. He shared his ideas with people. He told African Americans to stand up for their rights. Malcolm was an important African American leader who spoke out against racism. Early life. Malcolm Little was born in Omaha, Nebraska on May 19, 1925. His father was a Baptist minister named Earl Little. Malcolm's mother was named Louise. She was Earl's second wife. Malcolm had 5 brothers and 2 sisters. Earl preached against racism. Earl told African Americans to stand up for their rights. White men tried to stop him. They set Little's home on fire, but Little homes on fire. No one was hurt, but all the things were burned. Earl died in an accident when Malcolm was 6 years old. Some people believed the white men killed him. Louise kept her family together until she became sick. Malcolm was 13 when his mother had to go to the hospital. Malcolm moved to a foster home. Malcolm X told African Americans to stand up for their rights. Malcolm's father had preached this message as well. Trouble at school. Malcolm started getting into trouble at school. He was moved to a detention home. When he was 13, a detention home was a prison for young people. Malcolm went back to school after a few weeks. He arranged 8 good grades. He was elected president of 8th grade class. Malcolm told a teacher that he wanted to become a lawyer. A lawyer is someone who's trained in the law. The teacher told Malcolm that African Americans cannot become lawyers. This made Malcolm angry. Malcolm went to live with his older sister, Ella. Ella lived in Boston, Massachusetts. Malcolm was only 15, but he stopped going to school and he made friends with criminals. A criminal is someone who breaks the law. Malcolm started acting like his new friends. He could not keep a job. Malcolm went to live with his sister Ella when he was 15 years old. Malcolm's sister Ella tried to help him. She found him a job. He sold sandwiches to people riding trains. He rode on the train that went from Boston to New York in 1941. Malcolm went to the neighborhood called Harlem in New York City. He liked the people and the excitement, decided to stay. In the excitement, he decided to stay in Harlem. Malcolm became a hustler. A hustler is someone who makes money by cheating or breaking the law. He sold illegal drugs and worked for criminals. Malcolm began taking drugs and carrying a gun at age 20. Malcolm went back to Boston. He robbed houses there. Police caught him and sent him to prison. Malcolm, beginning in the prison, made Malcolm unhappy, and men and other prisoners called him Satan. A man to Malcolm about the power of education. Malcolm respected him. Malcolm began to read and study. Malcolm learned about the power of education. The Nation of Islam. Malcolm changed his life. He was no longer mean. He would move to a better prison with a larger library. Malcolm read many books about history and religion. Malcolm's brother Regland told him about a new religion for African Americans. It was called the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam was led by a man called Elijah Muhammad. Elijah told African Americans to be proud. He said they should live apart from white people. He said that white people were devils in 1948. Malcolm began to write to Elijah. The museum leader wrote back. Muslim leader wrote back. Malcolm soon became a Muslim. He changed his name from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X. The X stood for his family unknown African name. African American slaves lost their African name. African American slaves lost their names and they were brought to America. A slave is a person who was owned by someone else. Long time ago, people from Malcolm's family had been slaves. The Nation of Islam was led by a man called Elijah. Muslim minister. Malcolm X was let out of prison in 1952. He went to live with his brother Wilfred. In Detroit, Wilfred was a Muslim too. A Muslim is a follower of the Islam religion. Malcolm liked the Muslim way of life. He went to Islamic temple. A temple is a church. Malcolm soon went to Chicago and met Elijah Muhammad. Elijah saw that Malcolm could help the Nation of Islam. Malcolm became a minister for the Nation of Islam. A minister is a preacher. Malcolm was a good public speaker. Many people heard him speak and decided to become Muslims. Malcolm worked hard. Within a year, he started 2 temples in 1954. He went back to New York City to lead a temple in Harlem. Malcolm met Betty Sanders there. They were married in 1958. Over the years, they had 6 children. Malcolm became a minister for the Nation of Islam. By 1957, Malcolm was the Nation of Islam's most respected minister. He traveled all over the United States. He gave speeches. He spoke about African American pride. Malcolm told African Americans to defend themselves from racism. Defend means to keep safe. He said they should use any means necessary. His words scared white people, but gave African Americans hope. Elijah Muhammad became sick. Malcolm took on more of Elijah's work in 1962. Malcolm became other natural ministers of the Nation of Islam. Other Muslim ministers did not like all the attention Malcolm received. Malcolm wanted to spread his message. He kept studying. He read the Quran. The Quran is the holy book of Islam. Malcolm learned more about Islam. He began to disagree with Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm traveled all over the United States and spoke about African American pride. In 1964, Malcolm left the Nation of Islam. He joined the traditional Islam religion. Traditional means practiced for a long time. He planned to build a Muslim mosque in Harlem. And mosque is a traditional Islam church. Malcolm also made a pilgrimage to the city of Mecca and Sandu.
Saudi Arabia.
A pilgrimage is a trip to an important religious place. Islam teaches that all Muslims should travel to Mecca. They must try to go at least once during their lives. In Mecca, Malcolm saw Muslims off of every race and from every nation. He learned more about Islam. It taught that all people should learn to get along. Malcolm returned home. He kept practicing against racism. Malcolm started the organization of Afro-American unity. He wanted African people all over the world to work together. Malcolm started
organization
of Afro-American unity. Some people were upset with Malcolm for leaving the Nation of Islam. White people were still afraid of him. His message made some people angry. One night, a bomb exploded. Malcolm's home and his family escaped. Malcolm's life was in danger, but his work, he traveled around. But along with his work, he had traveled around the world giving speeches. He worked on a book about his life. On February 21, 1965, Malcolm was about to give a speech in Harlem. Before he could begin, 3 African Americans shot him. Malcolm died. Malcolm X was only 13 years old.
How old was he?
Huh?
How old was he?
39 years old. He is remembered as a powerful leader. He fought racism and brought hope to African Americans. His ideas are still important. Malcolm remembered as a powerful leader. The end.